Well, hey, Crossroads Church, thank you so much for joining us on this Thanksgiving weekend. My name is Erik Anderson, and this is the one and only Joelle Hassler. We're both pastors here on staff, and we both have to admit that we ate way too much food this Thanksgiving weekend, honestly.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and confess first. In the Anderson household, well, we stuffed ourselves. We stuffed ourselves with stuffing, turkey, green bean casserole, which is my favorite, pumpkin pie, and for some reason, we added crab legs to the menu.
No way.
This year we did, and we ate all of it, which ended up us in stretchy pants by 3 p.m.
I feel like, is that the reason why we named this whole series Overflow? Because you were thinking we were going to be like overflowing from our Thanksgiving meal?
No, I see what you did there, but
Okay.
no. And we'll actually let you know why we titled this series in a little bit later. But before we do, I actually need to hear about your Thanksgiving. How was it with the Hassler family?
Well, it was a little bit different this year because we didn't see our extended family, but we still had a lot of delicious food. We played a ton of Uno because our 8-year-old Hannah is really into Uno right now. And, we were safe and warm and all of that. So we can't really complain. But I do think Thanksgiving is just really different this year for a lot of people. And some people are even feeling bad about it. When we think about Thanksgiving 2020, it kind of feels like something is missing. And it's like the level of gratitude that we have is just a little bit lower this year than other years.
Yeah, it's a little dampening, isn't it?
It is.
And honestly, we get it. We get it. We're in the midst of a global pandemic. Not sure if you heard that news yet. We just went through an ongoing nasty presidential election. And as we kind of look out into the future, it kind of looks gloomier every second, every day that passes.
And we totally get it because we are in this with you. And we know that almost everyone is in basically survival mode right now. And we're just trying to survive the next update, the next email from the school district, the next argument that we have with someone that we live with, and maybe even just trying to avoid that Halloween candy that's still in the cupboard. Is that just me?
No, not just you. I've already stolen all the Reese's peanut butter cups from my daughter and eaten them. I mean, we are in survival mode, but when we are in survival mode, we would just say to you, we have a bent towards self-preserving and self-serving. And we kind of look inwards is because we're just trying to make it through another day with hope in our heart and breath in our lungs. And in fact, a lot of the people I've had conversations with, and maybe you can speak to this too, right now, they're just experiencing a crippling level of anxiety and stress in this season. And for them, the day's crowning achievement is actually brushing their teeth and cooking dinner that evening. Like, that's it.
If they do both of those things in one day, totally crushing it.
Crush it, right?
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting, what's been adding to this is something, and maybe you can relate, and it's the fact that a lot of people are feeling unnoticed and not appreciated at all. In fact, we did some research with this. The Harvard Business Review did some Coronathon surveying to see how people were really doing in this season, and their results were just fascinating, and they actually surprised us because they found that there's an overwhelming amount of people identifying as this, that they are overworked, underappreciated, socially isolated, unnoticed, and undervalued. And that's a lot.
That's a lot.
And when you add it all up, that's what's causing people to be in survival mode and not thriving mode. And one of the people that contributed to this survey had a quote that really just almost kind of took our breath away because it really feels a lot of people feel this way. And this is what this one surveyor said, that every day feels like I am fighting fires from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. I don't have time for anything else. And it feels like no one else is noticing. But I just have to keep going even though nothing is changing. And we wonder today, is this maybe how you're feeling right now? Is this your experience? Or maybe if not you, maybe it's someone in your world who is in the midst of this survival sensation, just trying to make it through and get through what they're going through. And maybe it's a coworker for you, maybe it's a friend or family member, but they're just doing whatever it takes to keep on going. And let me just say this, if that's you, or if you know someone that's in that same position and have that same feeling, we just want to let you know, we believe we have the remedy and the recipe to give you something that hopefully will help this season of your life. That's right, it's a Thanksgiving dish that gets served up to those closest to us. It's supposed to benefit them, but often it benefits the giver and the receiver. It's an important ingredient that pours into the individuals of our lives. It helps solve the Grand Canyon-sized hole of a problem we have right now. It brings us further connection and has the possibility to help us navigate the stress of a crisis.
That is very descriptive of you.
Thank you.
You have to tell us what it is. Don't leave us in suspense. I mean, what is the remedy to the daily grind that we're all in right now? You're going to tell us at this very moment?
Actually, no, I'm not, because we're all going to discover it together as we open up God's word, because we're going to go to an incredible moment in the New Testament where Jesus asks this question that speaks right to the heart of the tension we're all living in right now. So if you would, my friends, as you're watching this, you can go ahead and grab a Bible, open your YouVersion app, and we're headed to Luke 17. Or if you don't have either of those, we'll have the verses on the screen here for you. We're going to Luke 17, verse 11 through 20. So it's going to be a great moment here. And as you're turning there, let me just go ahead and just paint this picture of what we're about to enter into. Yeah. Jesus, he's traveling on his way to Jerusalem. That's right, he's heading in that direction. And he actually gets to Jerusalem in chapter 19. But right now, in 17, he and his disciples, as they're walking, they're actually caught between two lands, the boundaries between Galilee and Samaria. And these two lands and groups of people don't really like each other, do they?
No, they don't get along.
At all. They don't care for each other whatsoever. But what's interesting about Jesus is when he finds himself in these boundary situations, there's so many times he finds himself surrounded by people who are marginalized, people who are outcasts, people who aren't doing very well, people who are hurting. And in this situation and scenario, this is exactly what happens. So let's pick it up in Luke 17, verse 11, where it says this. As Jesus continued on toward Jerusalem, he reached the border between Galilee and Samaria. As he entered the village there, 10 men with leprosy stood at a distance, crying out to Jesus, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us.
Yeah, these 10 men, these lepers, were standing really far away from Jesus, yelling at him because they had leprosy. And leprosy was a sort of a general term to describe skin diseases, but most often referred to what we call today Hansen's disease. And let me just explain it to you a little bit. So Hansen's disease is something where you get skin sores. They're kind of like ulcers on your skin, and they often get infected and they smell bad. It's a really contagious disease, and it causes you to lose your sense of feeling. And so accidents happen a lot with fingers and toes. So these guys are standing far away from Jesus because they probably smelled bad and they were contagious, and they might have been missing body parts that cause people to shudder when they look at them. But listen to what they call Jesus as they call out to him. They call him Master. And in the rest of Luke's gospel, that word master is only used by the disciples, Jesus' closest followers. So this indicates that these guys have some faith in Jesus. They think he actually might have mercy on them. And their apparent faith, it sparks this swift and powerful and life-changing response from Jesus. Let's look at it in verse 14. He looked at them and said, "Go show yourselves to the priest." And as they went, they were cleansed of their leprosy.
So cool.
Okay, this is actually another marker of their faith, because these guys actually started taking steps that Jesus was asking them to take as they went towards the priest. And they had to go to the priest because he was the one who could tell them they were clean so that they could return to society. But Jesus didn't heal them before they went, he healed them on the way. Yeah, so they had to have faith enough to bank on Jesus in this moment and take those first few steps before he healed them. And he did heal them. In fact, Luke says that he cleansed them of their leprosy. And this word's really important. It's the Greek word katharos, and it means cleaned out. He cleaned them out of their leprosy. It's also the base word for our English word catheter, if you need like a more clear understanding of what happened. But basically, these guys were asking to be cleansed, and Jesus came through. He totally delivered for them. So my question for you is, have you ever done anything like this where you asked for something massive from someone in your life and you weren't really sure if they were going to be able to come through for you? Like, did you ever ask your boss for a raise or like an extra week of vacation? Or have you ever asked for a huge Christmas gift, like something that's outside of your family's budget? Or have you ever asked a friend for a favor and you like crossed your fingers that they would say yes? Maybe you have done this. Have you ever asked for something really big from somebody?
Yeah, I have. In fact, it happened with my wife, Jessa, and I. Newly married, we're praying and asking God, like, God, how will we design our family and build our family? And he put on our hearts to do it through international adoption. But the problem was we were flat broke. We had nothing. We were newly married, living in California in a moldy 2-bedroom apartment that was not the greatest life situation. And the price tag of adoption was $45,000.
Wow.
$45,000. So we quickly realized that we wouldn't be able to kind of scrape up that kind of scratch to keep pursuing the God-sized dream he has put on our hearts for our family. So after some prayer and after kind of like humbling ourselves, we decided to ask our friends on social media, our family members, and our church family to consider helping us raise resources to bring our daughter Nasipo home. And so I gotta tell you, what happened next just blew us away. Like, it just completely blew our socks off because people were so incredibly generous to us. And at the end of the day, when you added all the money up, with the little bit we saved, and after grant writing and everybody's just generous contributions and gifts, we ended up with over $60,000 to help bring our daughter home. And we couldn't believe it. There were tears streaming, the joy of just that moment. And it was because of their generosity, though, that we got to have this moment right here. This is the first day we became a family back in March of 2014. It was so cool, that moment. The day the Andersons went from 2 to 3, and I'll show you one more picture. This is a picture of the day I met Noe. There it is. Not a whole lot's changed from then until now, but seriously, it's because of their generosity that we got to experience that moment, but it just blew us away.
Okay, so tell me how you guys felt, when you started asking and people started promising to give you all of these funds so that you could bring Noe home. How did you feel?
Right. The word grateful didn't feel like enough of a word, right? It just was overwhelming that we took this step of faith, and then all of a sudden it was like a legit miracle.
Amazing.
Like, we time and time again, and then check after unnamed envelope would show up in our door or at the office. It happened again and again, and we're just overwhelmingly feel gratitude to people that help our family become a reality.
Okay, so I think that this is probably similar to the way that the lepers felt on that day that Jesus healed them. There's 10 guys. They've been living outside of the city as outcasts, and now they are 100% clean, and they can go back to their homes and their families and their jobs and enjoy life. I'm guessing they felt just as grateful as you and Jessa felt. Yeah. So let's pick it up in verse 15 and see how grateful they were. One of them, when he saw that he was healed, came back to Jesus, shouting, "Praise God." He fell to the ground at Jesus' feet, thanking him for what he had done. The man was a Samaritan. Jesus asked, "Didn't I heal 10 men? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give glory to God except this foreigner?" And Jesus said to the man, "Stand up and go. Your faith has healed you."
Hold up. I got questions. Do you have some questions here?
I have a major question.
Here's my question. Only one came back?
Only one.
I mean, I'm jiving with Jesus here when he says, "Where are the other 9?" Because, didn't I heal all 10 and only one came back?
That's it.
Like, only one person came back. They are all healed. And only one had the courage to come back to express gratitude for what Jesus had just done in their lives. And if you just think about it for a moment, what just happened to these 10 guys? They're completely healed. They no longer have to yell, "Unclean, unclean," when they come near people. Personally speaking, they get to go home. They get to hug their spouse, their kids, their parents. They get to see their friends again. They have community and relationships. They get to have a job. They get to have a new identity. And it just blows me away in the midst of all that. These guys, their lives are radically, profoundly, and drastically changed. And only one returns to the one who made this a possibility. And are you kidding me? Where are the other 9?
Unclear.
Don't
know where they are.
Right. Maybe they were just so anxious to get to the priest to be declared, cleansed so they could go on with their new life. Right? Maybe it was just that exciting. And the thought of having to go to the priest, be declared cleansed, and go back to say thank you, maybe this would delay the momentum they were feeling to have this brand new life. I don't know. Maybe that was it. We don't know.
No.
But it makes me think, if they had that kind of experience, wouldn't they want to go back and say thank you? But we just don't know. what the other 9 did. But we do know something. We do know one thing. There's an amazing interaction between Jesus and the leper because he expressed that kind of gratitude and that kind of thankfulness. And it's a beautiful exchange you're about to see here between Jesus and the one leper.
Yeah, so the man comes back to Jesus and he gets down on the ground, before Jesus. It's like he is saying, Jesus is my king in this moment. It's a really profound movement to the ground to say how grateful he is to Jesus. And Jesus gets it and he says, stand up, and go. Your faith has healed you. So now this leper has been both cleansed and healed. It's like he gets this second layer of healing. And that word healed in the Greek means to save. So not only is he cleaned out,
so cool.
But now he's saved. He's cleaned out of his physical disease, and he's also healed of his spiritual disease. It's like his faith and his gratitude combine in this moment, and he is made right with God. So the question that just rings in my head is gratitude really that big of a deal?
Yeah.
And I think this moment proves that it absolutely is, because there were 9 other guys, and they were all cleansed of their leprosy, but only the one who returned with gratitude was healed, was saved. And I think the reason for that is because gratitude means you get it.
That's right.
It means that you understand the sacrifice behind the gift that is given to you. It means you understand the sentiment behind the gift that is given to you. It means that you understand the relational connection that was intended by the giver of the gift.
All right, so Joelle, here's the deal then. What's the point of all this? What are we saying for our people, what we're asking them to do? And I think what we're asking them to do in this season, and right now, is to pursue being the one. Be the one. Be a one in a world of 9s. And being the one is honestly very extraordinary. It really is. But being one of the 9s, that's just ordinary. It's an ordinary lifestyle that leads to ordinary results and ordinary feelings and ordinary experiences. Ordinary 9s, they might be grateful for something during the Thanksgiving season. They might say 1 or 2 things, but that's it. It's not a lifestyle. It's not a habit they have where they do it again and again and again. And I would just say to all of us, I actually think the world needs a whole lot of 1s right now.
Yes.
There's a ton of people in your life and in your world that are overwhelmed, underappreciated, and they're really questioning what's going on in their life in this season. And I'm telling you, the world needs us to be 1s, to go to them. If they've impacted and influenced our lives in any measure of a positive way, we should go to them and say, thank you. Thank you. As a woman, I'm going to say thank you. And then when we do, we're going to lather, rinse, and repeat. And we're going to do it again and again and again. And some of you might be even thinking, okay, I know you want me to be a 1, but who's going to be my 1? Right?
Yeah.
Like everything I'm going through right now, like why do I have to be the 1? Would someone just be the 1 for me? And if you're thinking that, we just want to say, here's why you should be a 1. It's because we believe that not only will you bless others, we think you'll be blessed as well. I think 1s get more than the 9s. In a world of 9s, 1s actually get more and receive more. The more we practice this gratitude, it actually impacts and influences our personal lives. Research shows, we found out this week that being a 1, being grateful can impact your mental health. It can help you sleep better. It leads to deeper and more rich relationships and friendships, and even has the possibility to help you with your self-esteem. Those are the benefits of being a 1, because 1s, they get more.
They do. And gratitude really, it helps us keep our eyes off of all of the things that are going wrong right now. It helps us keep our eyes off of the people that we envy in our life. And it helps us to receive even more than we imagine. Because at the end of the day, gratitude is a choice, right? But grumbling is also a choice. And 9 out of 10 people right now are choosing to grumble. But we know what happens when you don't grumble and you're grateful and you return to say thank you. And right now we know that God is looking out over the universe and he's looking for people who will be the 1, who will return to him, to their family, to their friends, to the people in their life who have invested in them, who have been kind to them, and say thank you. So will you be that person this week? Will you be the one? Because if you do, not only will you win, but the world will win, and God will definitely win.
Can we say that again? Now, if we do this,
yes,
not only I win or we win,
but the world wins and God wins.
And that's how big and important gratitude is. And since it's so important for us today, we're going to spend a little time right now as a group pressing pause to express some gratitude to God. But we're going to say, God, we just want to say thank you. Even if where life feels like a mess right now, we know that you're still good. And we just want to say thank you for who you are and how you continue to pursue us and to help us and to heal us and want a relationship with us. And we're just going to stop and pause and do what the leper did and turn to him to say thank you. And one of the ways we do that as a follower of Jesus is actually through a meal. Very timely during Thanksgiving, I think, but it is through a meal. And it's a meal called communion, where we take these elements, this bread and this cup that point to Jesus' sacrifice for us, his life, death, and resurrection, and is a reminder that we have been given an incredible gift, that we are truly blessed, and we take part in this meal as a reminder for all that Jesus has done for us. So we're going to do that here shortly. But before we partake in communion together, to say thanks to God, to express our gratitude to him out of the overflow of what he's done in our lives, we're going to do something first.
Yeah. So now's a great time for you to grab whatever you have in your home for the bread and the cup. And then just before we take that together, we're going to pause just for about a minute and a half, and some verses are going to come up on the screen just so that we can read them and reflect and say thank you to God. So we're going to do that together right now, and then we'll be back to take communion together.